All right, welcome back, guys. This is Off the Edge. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Cameron Lynch, your former NFL linebacker. And today we are getting you guys ready. We'll also talk a little bit about Thursday Night Football, but won't spend too much time on that because, well, what is there to talk about in that regard? But we are going to get you guys ready for week 3. So if you haven't already, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review wherever you're consuming this content. Be sure to follow my guy at Cameron Lynch 50 on Twitter. You can follow the show at Off the Edge Show. And you can also follow me at JK Bogan on not only Twitter, but Instagram as well. And same with Cam. So Cam, how you doing, man? That game last night, I don't know how much you saw of that. That was not, that was hard to watch.
It was hard to watch. And one thing I'm seeing, Jake, is the 49ers, they finished strong, right? You think in the fourth quarter, like, all right, they have the win. They're leading us right now. They're going to lay down a little bit. No, they like to run it up, Jake. They score towards the end of the game and just put a nail in that coffin for the Giants. And the Giants, Jake, I just don't know what's going on with the Giants. You would think this year things would turn around a little bit, but it's not looking great. The 49ers are looking like the best team in football, like we talked about. I love the Dolphins as well, the Eagles and whatnot, but the 49ers crushing folks right now.
No, you're absolutely right, and I don't think it's going to change. Next week they got Arizona.
W.
Yeah, and now they got Dallas, and we'll get to that. Dallas, unfortunately, losing one of the Diggs brothers. I think you've worked out with before.
Yep. That is unfortunate.
That hurt, and then I sent you before the show. The Ravens not having half their team what's going on over there in Baltimore? They're always hurt, man. Always hurt.
I think just the NFL in general, man. Like, I don't know what guys are doing now in the offseason. I don't know if the training is changing, maybe the rules, but like guys are starting to get hurt now. It's these knee injuries specifically. So
it's scary, man.
If it's a turf thing, do we change the grass fully? Like, I don't know, but I'm curious to see what the science looks like, Jake, the sports science, because there's too many premium athletes, specifically running backs, getting hurt right now.
No, I absolutely agree. And I think, while it's important to maintain focus on CTE and maintain focus on, player safety up at the head and neck area, I also think we can't lose sight of the fact ankles matter, knees matter, legs matter. If you're in, the boat of Nick Chubb, the poor guy.
That was sad.
Foot, feet matter.
Yeah,
groins matter. Everything matters. Ribs. That's obliques. The thing. I think just obliques. Yeah. Not everybody can go out there and drop 145 yards like Puka Nacua with an oblique injury, my guy. So we're going to get into all that. We're excited to talk. There's a lot of games that we're going to try to cover here, and then some storylines that we'll get to rapid fire at the end. But just letting you guys know that BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs this season. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games, available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code Bleav to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. And Cam, I gotta say, Pick'em, this is huge this week. So Underdog Fantasy recently just dropped. It's like these peppers, like the spicy peppers.
Yeah.
And they're now multiplying how much you can win in those. So, I'm just going to say it right now. Tell our listeners what they can do and how they can get in on the action.
Yeah, you can start playing fantasy football on Underdog Fantasy today. Users will receive a 100% deposit match up to $100 if they use our promo code OTE at sign up. You can click the link in the description to get started today, Jake. We talk about it today, not tomorrow, today.
Today. Get started today. Oh, also, got to mention, I think it's October 1st, if I'm not mistaken. That goes up to $500, Cam. So if you're trying to get into it, yes, $500. If you sign up with OTE, that bonus match, you can literally drop $500 and you'll end up with $1,000 in your account.
Hey,
like, how amazing is that?
That's awesome. Hey, like I said, I keep talking about every week, Jake, but I think this week is the week where I'm going to jump in and actually get going with mine as well, with my Underdog Fantasy account. So hold me to it. I
love it. I will hold you to it, Cam. There's a lot of fun plays this week. One that stands out to me actually is in this Falcons and Lions game. Mm-hmm. It's Bijan Robinson. I don't care how good the Lions defense has looked against the run. We're going to start off with this game. Falcons 2-0, head to Ford Field against the Lions, who are 1-1. I gotta be honest with you, Cam. I don't see the Lions losing 2 straight at home. I just don't see it.
No.
They could have won easily last week. Seattle was a hungry team, pissed off team. We saw that. They went into OT. If Jared Goff doesn't throw the pick 6, they probably win. If you look back at it, if Dan Campbell doesn't go for it on 4th down, then they probably win. So a lot of different miscues there. I think in this one, Cam, all that needs to be put here is that Desmond Ridder has to play conservative football, but conservatively aggressive football, controlled aggression. He needs to still test down the field, show the Lions like, okay, all right, this guy's going to throw past the 1st down marker today. That's the first thing. But the second thing is he can't be throwing, turning the ball over, because you got Tyler Algier, you got Bijan, you got Kyle Pitts, you got Matt Collins. They have all sorts of weapons. You can't be turning the ball over. And that is how you would win against a really hungry Detroit Lions team.
There you go. It's the turnover margin, Jake. You just talked about it. We talk about the Rams and the 49ers recently. The Rams were beating the 49ers, and it's the turnover margin that killed them. We talk about, this Jared Goff and the Lions. He had that turnover that kills them, and that's extremely important, is ball security. And I want to go back, Jake. Week 1, Giants versus Cowboys. I know we're talking about this game specifically, but I just want to reiterate how important the turnover margin is. And the Giants, I think, turned the ball over about 3 or 4 times that game, and were just annihilated. Go to the Vikings as well. They had 4 turnovers recently. So it's going to be a theme throughout this whole conversation today, you all. And I do believe that the Falcons are able to win the turnover margin. They can do well. But I do think, like you mentioned, the Lions are pissed off. They're angry, similar to how the Seahawks were the week before. And I think they're going to get this W this week, Jake. I'm going to go Lions 24, Falcons 21. I think, Falcons are 2-0 right now. So something has to give at some point. But I am looking forward to seeing Bijan Robinson. He's going to have to get away from Aiden Hutchinson, though, because Aiden is a baller. He's a game breaker, and he's going to be someone to watch out for.
I'm going to say that Lions offense finds something this one against a really good Falcons defense. I just think this is the time. Okay, they didn't look super great against the Chiefs. They did win, though. They didn't look super great against Seattle. I think this is the week where it kind of starts to come together. You see Sam Laporta getting in on the action. Yeah. So I'm going to take the Lions here, 34-17 over the Falcons. It's not really anything against the Falcons. I just think you're going to get a really pissed off Lions team.
Yeah, and also, too, you think about just the wide receiver game, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown, and think about the running game as well with your guy from Bama. I mean, these guys know how to move the rock, and Jahmyr Gibbs. And so I'm just looking forward to seeing these guys active and healthy, too, Jake. I mean, I'm going to say that again, just healthy. I mean, when you see your favorite players go down, it's like, dude, it's crushing. I know when it comes to fantasy football, people are cussing and screaming because their favorite players are going down.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
So I think it's really important that we stress that is the health and wellness of these players.
I agree. Saints 2-0 are heading to Lambeau. Never an easy place to win, even if it's cold or it's not. Jordan Love isn't making it easy. I know they lost last week. They lost barely, and the guy's thrown 6 touchdowns and no interceptions. Derek Carr, on the other hand, while he's looked good, that was not a great performance that we saw on Monday Night Football. To be honest, not many guys looked very good on Monday Night Football in that doubleheader. So this is an interesting one because the Saints look like they're ready for a decent run. But I'm not out on the Packers here. I don't know if Aaron Jones is going to play. I think that's something that's kind of up in the air there. But either way, I like the Packers at home in this one. It's a tough game. Saints could win this. I'm going to roll with the guy who hasn't thrown a pick yet.
Yeah, Jordan Love is balling right now, Jake. It's really cool to see. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I know, went to a different team, to the Jets, and what is Green Bay going to be? And if you're a Green Bay fan, you're happy right now. You're in love with Jordan Love. That's really cool. And Quay Walker, he's showing up as a linebacker on that defense, Jake. That's super important, seeing him. I picked 6 week 1, so I think that's super impressive on him. And then I know when it comes to his zone defense play, right, I think that's important. His tackle efficiency, that man is all over the place. So I like it, Jake. You talk about the Packers figuring it out. I think that's important. They're going to have to watch out for Taysom Hill, though, Jake, because Taysom Hill is looking to make someone's night a long night, a tough night, and really just have nightmares. I had nightmares playing against Taysom Hill, Jake. I mean, the first time I played him, he was playing kickoff return. We're like, who is this guy back there? And then he's blocking my punt the next day. So keep an eye out for Taysom Hill because he plays quarterback, running back, receiver, whatever you need him to do. So I do like the Packers in this game as well, Jake. It's about that time, and the Saints are 2-0, so we talk about it. Something has to give, and I think something's going to give here. I got the Packers, Jake, for this game. It's going to be a tight one. I'm going to go, again, a 21-17 for this one, Packers.
I'm going to go 23-20. To your point, I mean, let's go back to the Falcons-Packers game for a sec. Bijan was running wild in that game. They had a chance to end the game. Bijan gets a toss crack, 4th and 1, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Arthur Smith and all, but what were you doing, my guy? Well, anyway, he trusts Bijan, breaks like 3 tackles to get the first down. Just insanity there.
You get the camera view from the top of the stadium. That was sick.
It's just absolutely gnarly stuff. But I think, kind of some X factors. And first off, Chris Olave looks like a superstar.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on my guy Rashid Shaheed, who also looks like a stud, and he could stretch the field. So you got that speed that's stretching the field. Michael Thomas is now catching everything, and Kendre Miller, our guy, is going to make his rookie debut. So I'm very excited about that. Jamal Williams is out. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but hoping Kendre gets something.
And that's going to be the issue, Jake. That's why I like the Packers, because of the run game. We don't know what that looks like. Taysom Hill's going to have to be the run game, and that's why I think the Packers come out with this win.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. Hopefully, we see something out of our guy Kendre Miller out of TCU. This is his rookie debut, so we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, you and I both have the Packers. You and I both have the Lions. We'll see if we differ on this one. So this is the battle of Sean McVay coaching tree. We got Chargers 0-2 heading to one of the state-of-the-art stadiums in all of sports in the Minnesota Vikings. They're 0-2. They're probably one of the best 0-2 teams I've ever seen. I think the Vikings are really good. They should have beaten the reigning NFC champion Eagles. They really should have. And they could have beaten the Bucks. The Bucks are better than we thought, honestly. Yeah. So, the hats off to them. Baker's playing really well. But this Vikings team, I think, is set. This game is going to be like whatever the over is for the total points I'm taking. Like, I would be surprised this is 38-35. And that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to say it's 38-35, and Kirk Cousins leads a game-winning drive down the field. Touchdown. We're going to go with Jordan Addison there.
Okay, I like that. I'm going to go, Jake, for this one. Like you said, we're going to have to differ because I like the Chargers, Jake. I like Herbert. I like that team, even though they couldn't pull it off last week against the Titans because Tannehill was playing lights out. Jake, I know we talking about, Tannehill, we don't know about this guy. Well, he gave us the dirty bird because he balled out. But I do know that the Chargers are upset. They're probably pissed. They're like, hey, guys, we're way better than this. It's unfortunately the running back room, right? What does that look like? They have a great running back there now, but when it comes to Eckler, he is the world beater, the game breaker, and I'm not sure what that looks like right now. But I'm gonna go Chargers, Jake, on this one. 33-30 Chargers for this game. And I know Kirk Cousins is playing the best football we've seen, Jake. I get that. But one thing I do know is that defense has been a little too quiet for me, right? That defense, I think, is going to force some turnovers. I think going to cause some pressure on Kirk Cousins that he hasn't really seen like that this year. He's seen it, of course, from some teams, but I think they're going to bring it. I think they're going to bring it to the next level. Joey Bosa is going to have a breakout game. Khalil Mack, these guys are going to get after him, I Bleav.
I like that we're on the different page here. I didn't want to agree with everything here. The one thing I say, if the Chargers are going to win this game, Josh Kelly needs to run wild like DeAndre Swift did. We know it's possible because DeAndre Swift had like 175 yards on 28 carries. Yeah. I mean, he was running wild, but we need to see it now. That was on a shorter week, to be fair. Defenses, I think, get more the brunt than like an offensive guy that barely got carries the week before. So that, context is needed, but we'll see. I mean, we will definitely see when it comes to the Vikings because they got a mini bye, but that's a long time. We'll see. The Lions, they didn't seem as sharp. We talked about that. Yeah. So maybe there's something there. And the Chargers who played on Sunday, they'll be good to go. But you have the Chargers. I have the Vikings. We move on. The Patriots 0-2, Jets 1-1. I highlighted this game because I do believe that right now, this is it. Like, if the Patriots go 0-3, the way the Miami Dolphins are playing right now in that division, you got the Bills. If the Jets figure it out with Zach Wilson, like, this is it for New England. And they've not looked like a bad team. They've been in with the Eagles. They've been in the game with the Dolphins. Yep. So here's the thing. Jets are at home at JetLife Stadium, and Zach Wilson keep in mind, the one start he had was awful. Like when he actually came in the game and started the game, not Aaron Rodgers leaving, was awful, but it was against, before Trayvon Diggs went down, maybe the best defense in the league. So to be there's context to be needed there. In addition to that, the game script, I think, was to run the ball a little bit more. Since it got so taken out of the game early on, they had to throw it. And so I think Zach Wilson, this game, they're going to play more ball control. Patriots have had their number, Cam. They really have. But I'm going to go with the Jets here. I think that they're going to run the ball, pound the rock with Breece Hall, pound the rock with Dalvin Cook. I think we'll see the best run game that we've seen all year for them. And I think really the key is if Dalvin Cook is the healthy one and Breece Hall, they're still, because he tore his ACL in October, Cam. You know, so that's the thing is like it wasn't a preseason injury. That's why he's not fully 100% ready to go. We need to see Dalvin Cook, like actual paging Dalvin. Where you at, bro? Like that. We need to see him. We need to see him in this game if they're gonna win. The Jets defense we know can force turnovers, and I think Mac Jones, who's played decently well through the first two games, could be in for one in this one because I think they're a better defense than the Dolphins, my guy.
Yeah, and Jake, this is going to be the battle of the turnovers. I think you talk about Zach Wilson holding on to the football. He turned the ball over 3 times the week before, and it was against the Cowboys. But just know, he's not only playing against the Patriots defense, but he's also going against Bill Belichick, Jake. And I do think Bill Belichick is going to put Zach's ass in a blender, my guy. I have a feeling he is because Zach, I mean, you talk about the run game. You just said they have to have the best running game. They know Dalvin Cook fumbled. He had that fumble strip, and I'm sure he was embarrassed, Jake. He's like, man, I just got here. I want to perform well. Well, Bill Belichick knows that. So I think he's going to play some mind games with Dalvin Cook. He can say, hey, Judon, go get him. go get him for some turnovers, Jake.
Uche, man.
There you go.
His win rate in pass rush is like he's like top 5 in the league.
I mean, and I don't know if Zach's going to be able to get away from that, Jake. I think if he forces some fumbles and they make it happen there, I think Zach's going to be in a little bit of trouble, and he's going to have to rely on that Jets defense, Jake, to get him out of these situations. And one thing I will say, if Aaron Rodgers makes a miraculous comeback, playoffs, and he's ready to go, that defense is going to be worn down by then.
That's a good point.
They're going to be tired as heck, my man. So I do think that the Patriots they're going to figure it out. And I think we talk about this. We talk about this in baseball. When the batter comes up, there's a pitcher, and that batter just wears that pitcher down and exposes their weaknesses. I think the Cowboys exposed the Jets' weaknesses, and I think Bill Belichick is too smart not to then amplify that. So I got the Patriots for this one, Jake. I know you said the Jets. I got the Patriots in this game, 21-17.
Yeah, so I'll take the Jets 21-20. I think it's going to be a really close game down to the wire. I mean, both teams, divisional rivalry. I think it's definitely a one-possession game. Then we move on to another AFC East team taking on a surprising undefeated team. Not so surprising when you see who they've played, the Washington Commanders, 2-0. So this is where the Commanders can really turn some heads. If they win this game, okay.
Like Magic Johnson got the magic on him.
But I don't see it happening. I think the Bills win. I think, and again, I still have my concerns about Josh Allen turning the ball over in big games, but we saw what he did against the Raiders. They were just, slamming it. Here's the thing about the Bills. They can beat any team if they stick to running the ball with James Cook and using James Cook. James Cook is one of the best running backs in football. I've only seen him start a few games. And I already know this. I am the Oracle. I know that James Cook is the guy. But he has over 100 yards last week. He can be used in the passing game. People thought he was just going to be a gadget player when he was drafted out of Georgia because he was smaller. That man's not small. No. He can break tackles. He's made more missed tackles. He's generated more missed tackles than most of the league. He's in the top 5 among running backs. Yeah. Yards after contact, top 5. So when I look at the Bills, if you want to beat the Commanders, run the damn ball. Mm-hmm. And I understand they can throw it all over the yard as well. Commanders defense has done a decent job of stopping that. But how did the Cardinals keep themselves in that game week 1? James Conner. Mm-hmm. How did the Broncos keep themselves in the game week 2? Well, they didn't use a ton of them, but Javonte Williams ran pretty well. Mm-hmm. So now week 3, the key is going to be using James Cook, wearing down this defense, making it easier on Josh Allen to then throw with a cleaner pocket. Because the more and more you run it, the more this defense is going to be worn down. And we've talked about this defense at length before. It's spooky, as you would put it. And so you got to wear them down. Chase Young, he's good to go. He gets a sack in his first game back. I mean, I'm trying to wear that defense down and make it easier on my quarterback to throw the football.
Yeah, you're right. And that's the thing, too, with that defensive line, Jake. They're going to be chasing after our guy, Josh Allen. Not saying he's our guy, right? Because Washington football team, we're neutral here. But Josh Allen, we want to see him do well, Jake. He's trying to figure out to run or to pass him. He's going to be running a lot this game. I'm going to tell you that right now. He's going to get chased out of the pocket. I think he's going to run a lot to support with that run game that you said is going to be beneficial for them. One thing I will say, Jake, is that Washington football team, Emmanuel Forbes, Josh Allen has to be careful with just chucking it up because Diggs is down the field, because Emmanuel Forbes will pick that thing and run it back the other way.
He did it 13 times, man. He did 13 times in college.
Impressive.
Oh, yeah.
It's super impressive, Jake. It's you can't do it. At this game, you're telling Josh Allen, hold on to the football. These guys are 2-0 right now. They got the Magic Johnson sprinkle on them right now. And one thing I will say, too, Jake, Sam Howell was playing great football. I don't know if that's the Eric Bieniemy effect. I'm not sure.
He was playing it well at the end of last year. This guy might be for real, Cam. We might have another really solid quarterback in the NFL.
And that's really great to hear, because we want to see great football at the end of the day. I mean, my man had 108 passer rating the other week, 299 yards, 27 for 39. I mean, he's balling out. And if Eric Bieniemy is saying a couple of things, hey, Patrick Mahomes did this, you need to do the same thing. Hey, it's working. But I do think that the Bills are going to come away with this one, Jake. I do think so. Matt Milano is playing too great of football. I think when it comes to Howell, I think he might turn that ball over, because Matt Milano has 2 interceptions on the season so far, 1 in each game. He might get another one this game as well. So I think that's important. Dalton Kincaid is showing up, right? Rookie tight end.
I think this is the Dalton Kincaid game.
There you go. Dalton Kincaid game. I think they're going to have to go to him. And he had 43 yards last week, six catches. And then we talk about Josh Allen. He had one of his better games last week, 124 passer rating, 31 for 37. That means he's accurate. He's protecting the football, over 274 yards. I think Josh Allen, he's starting to figure his game out. Like we talked about, he's figured it out, and I think they come away with this W, Jake. I'm going to say for the Bills, I'm going to go 24 Bills, 21 Washington football team.
I like that. I'm going to go 24-14 Bills over Washington. I think, we'll see. Sam Howell will probably have a lot of yards and just not a lot of touchdowns. And that's okay. I think, what you're hoping for is just them to be competitive in this one. The Bills are definitely the better team, but I do think the Commanders have a shot to really prove everyone wrong, including us. And so this is going to be a game that I'm tuning into. This is going to be a very interesting game, and I look forward to it. Brian Robinson, we got to also make mention with him. He's been running wild, so we'll see if he can run it against this tough Bills front. But we move on. Eagles 2-0, Bucks 2-0. This is the first of a Monday night doubleheader. The 7:15. First off, abolish that. Second, this is going to be a fun game. Eagles right now. I mean, they're 2-0. They didn't look great against New England, but they survived, right? Survive in advance. They go to week 2. They looked good at times, and then they looked not so good at times against the Vikings at home. Well, now they're back on the road against Tampa, who
in the heat.
I got to tell you, first off, this is what I'll say. Baker is playing better ball control football than Jalen Hurts. And that's important here. A.J. Brown hasn't gotten going. So, in first hand, you'd say he's due. Second hand, you could be like, well, I'm watching the film and I see they're making adjustments to stop A.J. Brown. And they're okay with Devontae Smith beating them as long as they don't allow big A.J. Brown over the top that can high point the football, break a tackle, and take it in for 6. So this game is going to be very interesting because you got another guy who can do that exact same thing on the other end. And if they decide to double team him, Mike Evans, then you got Chris Godwin, right?
Yeah.
So it's not as simple as, oh, well, we'll just double team Mike Evans. Chris Godwin might be better than Mike Evans. He just doesn't get the ball anywhere near as much. But like the point is, you have a 1A, 1B scenario here in Tampa, and you started to get Rashad White started to get going last week, albeit it was against the Chicago Bears, but like that's good stuff.
Sean Tucker, a couple snaps, Q's guy.
Yeah, like okay, like our running game might be here. Like we might actually have a running game, and then you have a defense that could turn the ball over at any given time. You got Antoine Winfield, who like, hey man, no offense to like I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan, but if you throw it up there, like he's gonna pick it off, like and so I think you got all that ranginess in the back end of the secondary. We already know Carlton Davis and, guys like that. Jamel Dean does not get enough credit.
Yeah.
And so I'm just saying, like, that front, Joe Tryon, Shoyinka, like, I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Bucs. Like, I understand it's 2-0. I'm not willing to, like, sell the house on them. But this is a huge opportunity here because we just talked about the Falcons 2-0, staring 2-1 in the face because you and I both have them losing, right?
Yeah.
Panthers right now, they're going to start Andy Dalton. We'll talk about that later on. And because I want to put this out there, Bryce Young is hurt. Okay, so that's that. But then the Saints are also 2-0, who I think we both have them losing to the Packers. This is a golden opportunity for the Bucs to take over the sole position in their division, and they're at home against an NFC defending champion. If they win this game, I mean, you could see this momentum kind of carry them down the road. So this is monumental for them this early in the season.
Yeah, and let's not forget too, Jake, we talked about just the Lions, right? How they were able to dethrone the Chiefs first game of the season. Is this the first game that that the Eagles are dethroned when it comes to the NFC? So I think when it comes to the NFC, the Cowboys, of course, we talk about, but the Buccaneers are starting to make a run and saying, hey, we belong here. We're the ones. I know the Saints are 2-0 as well. But, Jake, when you think about just defenses in general, you mentioned some great defensive linemen, some great DBs, but one of the best linebacker duo in the league for the Buccaneers, Levante David and Devin White, Jake, I think these guys are next level. I would compare them to the 49ers linebackers, right? And Greenlaw and our guy, 54. I can't think of his name right now.
Fred Warner.
Fred Warner. Sorry, yes. But Fred Warner's been at the top of his game. Greenlaw's been at the top of his game. Devin White and Levante David. Figure it out which one's the best. But you have some great linebacking play there, and I do think that they're going to get after Jalen Hurts. You would think so, right? And also, too, the Eagles have a different offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. So when we think about chefs in the kitchen, there's different chefs in the kitchen. And I don't know if those chefs can handle that 100-degree heat, Jake. They're going to be in that box sweating their neck off. So we'll see what happens, Jake. But to be honest, I would love to see the Buccaneers upset the Eagles. Got to stop DeAndre Swift. You got to stop him. Got to stop those wide receivers on the outside. I think that's really important. And one thing I will say, too, just watching the game last week with the Eagles, seeing some of the miscommunication, Jake, right? Some of the friction between the receiver and the quarterbacks, that's going to bite them later on, Jake. I know we're talking about this Buccaneers and Eagles game now, but I think the miscommunication between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, I think come the playoffs, when that pressure starts to amount, I think that's going to bite them in the butt, and I'm going to call it this game. I think the Buccaneers are going to take advantage of that, Jake. I think the Buccaneers are going to take advantage of the tension that's going on because A.J. Brown's not getting the ball as much as he wants to. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to call 24-21 Bucs. I think the Eagles are going to be dethroned this game 3, like the Chiefs were game 1. And, yeah, the Bucs will come out with the dub in that heat. It's going to be 100 out there. So the Eagles, I don't know if they're ready for it.
This is tough because I think this could go either way. Bucs at home. I want to buy into Baker, and I'm definitely not selling Baker, but I just see a scenario here where a game's close and Jalen Carter comes in. And we've talked about him. He has just absolutely been dominant in the first 2 games. He comes in, rips the ball out of Baker's hands, and that's all it takes. Like a really close game late in the game, Jalen Carter comes right through, not unblocked, like just rips through like 3 guys.
Or
tears the ball out.
Or Josh Sweat.
Josh Sweat takes the ball and runs it back for a touchdown. That's all she wrote. Like, I could totally see a scenario like that. So I'm going to say I do see a scenario like that. I'm going to call it right now. I'm going to say that this game, we're going to go 24-17 Eagles.
Okay.
And I think this has the potential to be a really fun game down to the wire and kind of disrupt the Rams-Bengals game a little bit. So, because I think a lot of people are going to tune in to watch that because it's going to get really close. So I'll take the Eagles here 24-17. I really like what the Buccaneers are doing. I'm not quite ready to sell the Eagles quite yet in this one. It's a tough call. But
yeah, their D-line, you talked about their D-line is just excellent, Jake. I mean, they got guys that, possibly Hall of Famers on that defensive line, and they're just starting their careers. So that is quite spooky. I do think Baker, to win this game, got to hold on to the football. That's the only way. You just talked about it. For the Buccaneers to lose that strip sack for a touchdown, Baker has to hold on to the football. And I think he knows that. The run game's going to have to get going. If they can wear that D-line down, Jake, for the Eagles, I think that's also going to be to their benefit as well. So we'll see. Toss it up. This is the one that's like, ooh, it could go either way, but I'm going to rock with my guys at Bucks.
I like it. So then we have our last game here before we get into our rapid fire segment with the storylines. Rams, Bengals here. Some context. First off, I'm looking at the ESPN Pick'em. They show percentage of users picked. It was 90-10 Bengals. It's now gone from 90-10 to 64-36 Bengals. So there's been a shift. People are starting to believe in the Rams maybe. The Bengals with Joe Burrow. I think there's a mixture here. I have to mention this little storyline. Bill Belichick, the tricky Bill, comes in and he signs our guy Will Greer right off their practice squad. So the Bengals, if Joe Burrow can't go, only have Jake Browning. And it's so late in the week. We're talking about Friday. They haven't signed anybody yet. I joked like they might have to trade for Brandon Allen. They might literally have to trade for Brandon Allen. He's the only one who would know the offense. So it's like, this is crazy.
Chess, not checkers.
I'm going to say this right now. I think Burrow goes. Okay, I think Burrow plays. This is a must-win for the Bengals. I still kind of feel like they're going to figure this whole thing out, and I'm not backing off my Super Bowl prediction. It's just not happening. Bengals, Lions, and I had the Bengals winning it. But I think they go 0-3. Yeah. I think the Rams are the better team right now.
Without a doubt.
I think Joe Burrow with that calf and re-aggravated, mind you. He was bad. He was playing poorly when he was dealing with the calf nagging, but re-aggravated. What does that mean?
Aaron Donald. That's what that means.
That's the thing that's like concerning for me, Cam, because he's not behind a great offensive line. I mean, it's not great. Like Lyle Collins, who they were hopeful of, they just cut him. Like he's just gone. And it's just like, I'm not loving their offensive line. Joe Mixon, I could see him getting a few big, splash plays in this game. But here's the thing. When I go on Bengals shows, I've been on like 5 this week. When I go on Bengals shows, I keep hearing Joe's going to get it out quickly. That's the game plan. It's like, if everyone knows the game plan and Joe's going to have to get the ball out quickly because of that, that calf, that's concerning. Because if you're looking at the Rams and how, like it worked for Purdy last week, it worked for Purdy last week because everybody's built to break tackles and win after the catch. We saw Deebo Samuel last night against the Giants. Guy cannot be tackled. He is so hard to bring down. Brandon Ayuk didn't even play, but Ayuk is also built that way. Kittle's built that way. Christian McCaffrey's built that way. These guys are hard to bring down. Jawan Jennings. So now you look at the Bengals game and you're like, if they're playing that dink and dunk, I mean, Ernest Jones, Akella Witherspoon, DK.
Yeah.
Kobe Durant.
John Johnson, they bring him in there. Yeah.
Like those guys can come up and make the play, and it's going to be, boom, a tackle. Yeah. Jamar Chase isn't going to break 5 tackles like Deebo Samuel.
Right.
Jamar Chase, what he's going to do, great route runner, great separation, and then he's going to win over the top. But if you can't throw over the top, then that Rams pass rush is going to be eating Joe Burrow alive. So it's like they're really stuck in no man's land right now. They have to hope that things work out, and like T. Higgins and what do you always say? They got to eat their Wheaties. Yeah. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are going to have to break every tackle if they're going to play that dink and dunk game. So I got the Rams in this one 31-23 because I respect the Bengals. I respect what they have. I do believe they are a Super Bowl roster when healthy. And right now, while Joe Burrow isn't healthy, I still can't buy that Joe Burrow isn't going to have a few of those Joe Burrow moments.
Yeah, I'm going to go 24-17 Rams on this one, Jake. I do think we talked about it before, the edges of this Rams defense, and I do think the DBs, right? We talk about Keller Witherspoon and Darion Kendrick. Those guys have to play well today. If they and I think the X factor is Tyler Boyd, right? Because you're thinking about the other players, Chase and Higgins. Okay, we got to lock these guys down. Let's focus this week. But I do think Boyd is going to be the one that, hey, those in arounds, those reverses that we saw against the 49ers that Deebo Samuels got loose on, I think we're going to see Tyler Boyd on these end arounds. They're going to see, hey, is Hoyt dropping back? Is Byron Young dropping back in coverage? Because we're going to throw it right at them. And so, Jake, I just want to see this game. I don't want to see many drops from these DNs from the Buccaneers or the Bengals are going to take advantage of it, Jake. I think the Bengals are going to take advantage of it, but I have the Rams winning. I have Puka Nacua going off, Tutu Atwell going off, and Van Jefferson. I think, Jake, this has to be his game because Tutu and Puka are getting to a point, Jake, where it's like, okay, it's getting to the overload. Like, it's an overload. These guys are getting so many catches and breaking records. Van Jefferson has to step up just like Tyler Boyd has to step up. But I do believe Aaron Donald gets after Joe Burrow's ass because his calf is hurting and Aaron Donald is licking his chop. And I think Byron Young as well, Jake. Send him on.
He's going to introduce himself to America, man.
There you go. He's gonna pummel over some of these tackles and these guards. They're going to dump them on their back, strip sack Joe Burrow. And, yeah, it's just going to be a party at the Rams' house. So I know they're going over there, but it's going to be a good game for the Rams.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think, kind of the guy you didn't mention, Kyren Williams, this is his opportunity. Last week, his first start, he gets 100 scrimmage yards, 2 touchdowns. Still not enough because he had the drop that went into the interception. Everyone was hating on him for it. But look, Sean McVay came out and said he's a capable 3-down back. Like, we believe him all 3 downs. He can manage a workload. Like, so he only missed 3 snaps last week for Ronnie Rivers. I expect it to be a bigger workload for Kyren Williams. I think they're going to try to, alleviate the pressure on a Puka Nacua, on a Tutu Atwell. We're going to see more Demarcus Robinson. We're going to see more Ben Skoranek, more Van Jefferson. They're going to try to calm down on the workload because they don't want to burn these guys out in week 3.
Oblique injuries.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think Kyren Williams comes in this game, and I think he goes over 100 yards against a defense that's allowed almost 200 in back-to-back weeks. So,
it's going to be a
I
long
think he's
day
going to
for
run
the
for
Bengals
100.
defense. Yeah, it's going to be a long day for the Bengals defense, especially like you talk about the pass game. Kyren Williams is leading the NFL and running backs in the pass catching out of the backfield. So I think he's going to take advantage of that, and I think the Rams team is going to they're finding their groove, Jake, and it's really good to see. And it's unfortunate, Jake, for the Bengals. I mean, you think these folks are, you said Super Bowl. I don't know.
I mean, you can't judge them now.
That's true. It is early,
but we'll see. I mean, I'll say this: there is. I can't stress it enough, and I don't normally say this, but there is some serious blowout potential here for the Rams. If Joe Burrow doesn't play, blowout. If Joe Burrow does play, there's still a blowout potential. And that's the thing. It's so hard to know. And I'm sorry, but Jake Browning is not being the Los Angeles Rams. He's not doing that.
God bless him. God bless him.
Yeah, I feel for him, but he's not doing it.
Yeah.
And if you think the Rams need an edge rusher, after this game, you might not even think that because of how much I expect the Rams pass rush to get in there and disrupt, if they don't go with more of a dink and dunk approach.
Yeah, and no more drop back passes for these defensive ends that are, I mean, Jake, I can see it now, Jake. Hoyt dropping back against Boyd, and Boyd is cooking him in the slot. In that cover 3 defense where he's the curl flat player, he's on Boyd or Higgins or Chase, and these guys are just running down the field. I'm calling it now, Jake. If I see it, I'm gonna have to call Raheem myself. Like, yo, bro, I feel you. I feel you're the man, but can you please stop dropping these defensive ends against elite receivers?
No, I hear you. I mean, 310 pounds, 6'4". I made that joke repeatedly throughout the week. But that's going to do it for that part of it. Now we're going to get into a rapid fire segment here. Cam, does losing Trayvon Diggs to an ACL tear end the Cowboys' Super Bowl hopes already here in week 3?
Absolutely not. You think about Jalen Ramsey for the Dolphins, right? Diggs has to take that role that Jalen Ramsey's taking right now. Hey, I know Jalen Ramsey, there's light at the end of the tunnel for Jalen, right? Because he can come back. And I know for Diggs, it's not so much that. But I think the Cowboys defense has too much firepower. I think Dan Quinn, he is too great of a defensive coordinator for this team for this defense at least to go down in that way. And Stephon Gilmore, Deron Bland, and Jordan Lewis, those guys have to step up, right? Next man up, they have to figure that out. And they have the best pass rush in the league. So no matter who's back there, Jake, they're going to get that football because Michael Parsons is going to cause some havoc. So they had 3 interceptions against Zach Wilson. Come on, man. It's the Cowboys.
Deron Bland, the 5th round pick last year, has looked really good. My only concern would be to keep him in the slot. I think, Israel Mukwamu could be somebody, their 6th round pick from 2021. Noah Igbenogany. There are some guys there that I think it'll be interesting to see how they go about this. I know they have their 6th rounder from this draft, Eric Scott. So we'll see. I mean, they always kind of find just random guys and throw them out there, and they have some success.
They got Gilmore on the other side to coach them up, so.
Yeah, maybe they make a trade. Who knows? I mean, if you feel like you're that close, maybe you go out the deadline and you get another one of those. Remember, C.J. Henderson was traded by the Jaguars. Like, you try something like that.
Yeah, I like it.
Moving on here, we had the 49ers defeat the Giants 30-12. The Browns are playing the Titans without Nick Chubb, so life without Nick Chubb. They did go out and get Kareem Hunt.
Yeah,
I liked that pickup. I do also like the guys behind him, Jerome Ford. I think Jerome Ford gets the start.
Yeah.
I know Kareem Hunt's going to get going, but I think Jerome Ford's been in camp. Jerome Ford has been learning the offense, and he had over 100 yards, to be fair, in a game they just threw him in against the Steelers defense. So I like Ford in this one. I kind of like the Browns against the Titans now. When we didn't really get too much into it, but what are your thoughts on that game real quick?
Tannehill's playing lights out, Jake. The fact that he beat the Chargers, Tannehill's hearing the disrespect, right? Those ears are burning. So I like the Titans on this one.
Okay, cool. Vic Fangio playing his former team. What do you think about that? I mean, we didn't talk too much about it. Tua Tagovailoa looking like the best quarterback in the league through 2 weeks. Vic Fangio, as we all know, was the head coach of the Broncos, and now here he is. He's playing the Broncos as the defense coordinator for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson was sacked 7 times, Jake, and hit 14 times last game. So I think Vic Fangio's like, yo, let's run it back. Let's sack him 8 times and hit him 15 to 16 times. I think it's going to be a bloodbath, to be honest. Russell was playing a lot better, but he's getting hit a lot, Jake, and at that age, it's not looking good.
2-0 teams. Which 2-0 team that really stands out to you do you think is just 100% on upset alert, or they're not even the favorite this week and they're going down?
Yeah, I'm Washington football team and the Falcons, Jake. I think those two are going to go down. They're playing well, but I think they'll go down.
I'm totally in agreement with you there. Can Andy Dalton lead the Panthers to their first win of the season this time around? Bryce Young, of course, as we mentioned earlier in the show, out with an ankle.
I said, no. Seahawks, I think they're riding that momentum. I think that first game they got disrespected, or they were disrespecting the Rams and they got smacked in the face. And I think for them, they're like, not again, sir. So I don't think he'll be able to pull this one off.
This one's kind of a funny one. I don't even know why I'm asking this, but do the Bears have any sort of chance against the Kansas City Chiefs?
Hell no. They got to figure it out, right? They talked about it in the presser. It might be a coaching thing, and their offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, they're going through it right now, my man.
Defensive coordinator's out the door.
He's out.
I mean, he's not even – so the new defensive coordinator midweek, and then you got the offensive coordinator who's just running – he's just asking Madden, like, repeatedly every play, so –
Why you do him like that, Jake? That's hilarious.
But am I wrong? Like, he's calling this. You know how Ask Madden, the algorithm, it'll call the same plays if you keep doing it.
Like when a little kid is playing a game, like, I don't know what to pick. I just press B and silly.
Yeah, no, that's, oh boy, yeah, it's not gonna be good. I think and Matt Nagy's back with the Chiefs, so this is a revenge game against oh boy, yeah, not gonna be good. And what do we expect on Sunday night with the Steelers and Raiders to wrap this show up?
TJ Watt going crazy again. Defensive Player of the Year candidate at some point. I think he'll solidify that with this game.
Now, I got to be fair before we head out of here. If we're getting on Luke Getsy, we got to get on Matt Canada. He has been so putrid with way more talent.
Yeah. You got some ballers back there, and you can't make it happen. You got the best linebackers that were on our list, D backs. They're on that Bears team. So it's like, what's going on? And when you talk about the Steelers and the Raiders, Josh Jacobs -2 yards rushing. Can't win with that, my boy.
And I think just like looking at the Steelers offense, I mean, they got to get something going. I think this is going to be, to your point, kind of a TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Max Crosby show. Yep. I think it's going to be pressure everywhere. Garoppolo's going to be running for his life. Pickett's going to be running for his life. I think the X factor in this one, why I think the Steelers win, Jaylen Warren. I've been very impressed with the young running back there. I think he's already kind of supplanted Najee Harris as the starting running back, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah. Alabama running backs, Jake. I just don't get it. When it gets to that next level, it's like, they get that hype and they kind of just slide down the scale a little bit. So, yeah, Najee Harris, not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, so that's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys are prepared enough for the week. Off the Edge, episode 41. You can follow me at JK Bogey. You can follow Cam at Cameron Lynch 50. Follow the show at Off the Edge Show. We'll be back next week to recap and react to what happened in week 3. You guys enjoy NFL Sunday, Monday, and of course, we'll see you guys then.